What's going on, you guys? Today we're checking out the 2022 Alfa Romeo Stelvio QUADRIFOGLIO. This is an SUV you may not have heard of before, but if you haven't heard of it, you're gonna want to, because this thing is pretty crazy. Before we get into it, big thank you to State Line, Alfa Romeo, Maserati for giving us a Stelvio to review. Link in the description if you want to buy this and check out their awesome inventory. Let's get into it. Now, one of the craziest things about this SUV is what you get under this hood. It is a V6, but this engine is taken from the Ferrari F8 Tributo, cut 2 cylinders off and placed in here. Over time, engines have less and less cylinders, but I think the V6s and Maseratis and Alfa Romeos are phenomenal. There's also 2 turbos on this thing, and it performs extremely well. 505 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. Now, before we take this thing out for a spin, let's take a look at this exterior design. And the most obvious thing and giveaway that it's an Alfa Romeo is the fact that you have this curved triangle as your grille. Every Alfa Romeo has that, and you really can't miss that. You also get the Alfa Romeo badge right there. These are pretty rare cars to see out on the road. I also really like the design of these headlights. They're like swords. Because this is a quadrifoglio, you're gonna have heat extractors, 2 of them on each side for your hood. Now, moving along to the side, your tire widths are gonna be 255. You're gonna have 20-inch wheels. Again, with this wheel design, very Alfa Romeo, you cannot miss this. You're gonna have 6-piston large brakes right in the front here. And you're gonna have a 4-leaf clover badge, giving this away as something more special than just a regular Stelvio. In the back, you're gonna have 2 85s for your tire width. This thing does have all-wheel drive, but yet still has meatier tires in the back. And same thing with these wheels back here as well. 4-piston brakes back here. And looking at the back here, you're gonna have a Stelvio badge, Alfa Romeo badge, and Q4, quadrifoglio all-wheel drive. Also a quad tip exhaust system, and this thing has one of the nicest sounding exhaust notes I have ever heard. Take a listen. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the inside of the Stelvio QUADRIFOGLIO, and this interior is pretty cool, a little spoiler. So first of all, you're gonna have a nice carbon fiber strip right on your door panel. Other than that, this door panel is pretty standard, but the materials they use here are all soft touch, so it is, you know, above average. You're gonna have your window switch controls, you're gonna have your memory seats, nothing too special other than that. Harman Kardon sound system though, which is very nice. You get another 4-leaf clover badge right on your door sill. So 1 on the side, 1 in the engine bay, 1 here, and there's more to come in the interior. These seats have a very nice design and very soft, nice leather. And Alfa Romeo badge right on your headrest as well. Now, if we go ahead and hop in this thing, my favorite part about Alfa Romeos are the steering wheel. They're just different and they're cool and they're satisfying. First of all, these paddle shifters are absolutely massive and they're so soft to click. Very nice. You also get the start stop on your steering wheel, more carbon fiber with another 4-leaf clover badge, Alfa Romeo right in the center. Gauge cluster in here is pretty standard, maybe a little bit old school for 2022, but it still looks good. You get your 2 analogs left and right, and your digital in the center. Now this revs up to 6,500 RPM, and when it hits that, I mean, this thing sounds unlike any other car I've ever heard. Arguably better than a lot of V8s that we've reviewed so far. So this thing definitely gets an A+ in the sound for me. Center console is going to be almost entirely carbon fiber. That looks absolutely awesome. You can actually slide this back to reveal your cup holders there. You got to actually slide it back in place. And your little gear lever here is the same thing that's used in Maseratis. They're both Italian brands, makes sense. So park, you actually push this button instead of moving this thing around. And if you want to go from reverse neutral drive, there's a little button right in the back here that you push in, and you're able to switch between park, reverse, neutral drive. Kind of strange, a little bit overcomplicated, but still gives it a sort of unique touch, and once you get used to it, it's going to be no worries at all. Now, this is where it gets fun. You have your selectable drive modes right here. You have D, N, and A. N and A are the boring modes. D is dynamic, and that opens up the exhaust valves. Yes, this has an active exhaust. And you also have a little suspension button right here. In case you want to stay in dynamic mode and hear that exhaust and have it feel like a race car, but you just want a comfortable ride, well, you have your suspension button to go with that, which actually is a very nice setup here. You get nice Italian colored touches right here. Up here, you're gonna have your infotainment system. And if you actually surf through the drive modes, you can see animations will pop up and it will show you what mode you are in. But if you go over to vehicle information, which has a picture of your car, and click DNA Race, now you're able to see what all of these selectable drive modes actually configure here. So you have your engine torque, your steering, your shifting, your drivetrain. This thing doesn't actually shift from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive, so that makes it a little bit confusing. Just depends on which trim you get. Then you have the exhaust valves, which is probably the best part. the actual response of the gas pedal, which is pretty interesting, and as well as your torque vectoring. So a lot of pretty unique configurations inside of this thing. And of course, you're able to click through the drive modes on here, or you can just get quick access through using the knob in the center console here. Now, for the passenger side, they're gonna get a decent amount of space. You're still gonna have the carbon fiber over there and carbon fiber that runs across the dash, but nothing too crazy worth mentioning on the passenger side. Now let's go ahead and check out the back seats here. So you're also gonna have carbon fiber running across here, very nice. Same thing with your door sill. And let's check out the room. The seats were pretty far back up front. I'm 5'11", and that feels very nice. You're also gonna have a massive moonroof that runs from the front to the back up here. You're gonna have your sort of airplane styled lights up there, and heated seats, USB ports, climate control with very, very satisfying climate vents to actually move around. You're gonna have a little center console area in here with 2 cup holders. Nice little hidden Alfa Romeo stitch in there. That looks very, very cool. And other than that, that's pretty much it with the interior. Now let's see how this thing drives. All right, you guys, so here we are driving the Stelvio QUADRIFOGLIO. And first things first, we're in dynamic mode right now. It still does have a very, very smooth, nice ride. This is an SUV, so it still has that practicality and that comfort, but you know you have that Ferrari engine up front. And just sort of revving it out a tad bit, you hear that roar from the exhaust. It sounds extremely, extremely good. And that's what's amazing about this car. So yes, it's around $85,000, $90,000, but you're almost getting a Ferrari for that price point. 500 horsepower in an SUV that weighs around 4,300 pounds is no joke. And when you look at a lot of other cars that have the power that this one has, I mean, it's easy to jump into price ranges over $100,000, especially considering this one is nearly brand new. Let's go ahead and do a light little pull here and see how it feels. Yeah, so it is very, very quick, and you get this nice pop out of the exhaust when you do that. A lot of people aren't really a fan of the smaller engines, if you could even consider a V6 a small engine. I really wouldn't. But I think Maseratis and Alfa Romeos do them extremely, extremely well. We reviewed the Ford F-150 Raptor and the Bronco Raptor, and that twin turbo V6 it didn't really do it for me. It was too slow. The sound was decent, but this one on the upshifts and the acceleration that you get out of this thing, I think really makes the most out of a twin turbo V6. So I'm very, very happy about that. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to economy mode, which is A in here, and see how this thing feels as soon as we get moving. Right away, that exhaust note just disappears, and it feels very, very soft. This, on a lot of cars, I don't notice a massive difference with selecting different drive modes, but this one you do. So if you want to just go to work or have a nice ride home, this thing will absolutely give that to you. Now, we did not mention that this thing has an 8-speed automatic transmission. We were talking about the performance of this, and just listen to it. And you see the RPMs just very softly jump back down when this thing shifts up a gear. When you are at low RPMs, I mean, you barely feel this thing shifting, which is very, very cool. But if we jump back over to dynamic mode, it's just gonna get a whole lot more aggressive, and that's what you want in an SUV. And right when you switch to dynamic, the RPMs are held higher and that exhaust note pops right back up. We are in the presence of a police officer here, so we're not going to be doing any accelerations just yet. All right, let's go and take off a little bit and see how this feels from the stop. Let's see how it feels again. Yeah, I am absolutely loving. It's not like so much or so aggressive that you can't use it on road conditions. We've definitely driven a lot of cars where it's like, you just can't redline this thing out on the road because, well, you're gonna lose your license, or it's a little bit too scary to do that. This one you could actually bring out on, you know, some open roads. This is kind of in between back roads and city driving, and it's just perfect for this. If you want to get from light to light super quick, you can do that. If you want to hit 60 in 4 seconds, this thing has the power to do that. So I like the sort of median that this thing has set between too insane but not fun enough, and also practical enough. So this is an SUV. You get a lot of space in the back, a lot of trunk space, comfort, And with the adjustable drive modes, you just choose how you want to drive. You even get that pop at around 3,500 RPM, and that exhaust note is just, it sounds so good. You don't have to redline this thing to get that noise. And I will say, even the turn signal knobs here just feel different. They feel more solid. A lot of American sports car owners will complain that their interior just starts to wear down a lot sooner, but Italian, German, I don't know, their interior build quality just feels better, and things are not going to wear down nearly as much as a lot of American sports cars. Now, American sports cars, the first thing that comes to mind is a V8, a muscly, loud V8. I don't know, this thing is a bit more refined to me, and it just has that sort of luxury, exotic touch to it. Again, this engine is out of the F8 Tributo, just with 2 cylinders chopped off, so you get a very exotic engine, a very exotic sound, and a very, very good driving experience as well. Again, for $90,000, I mean, I don't always say that it's a great deal when cars are up there, but this one kind of is, especially with the Ferrari SUV coming out. They're asking what, like $500,000 for that thing? This is kind of like the baby Ferrari SUV. And here we are back at State Line Alfa Romeo Maserati. If you guys are interested in this Stelvio Quadrifoglio or any of the other awesome vehicles they have on their lot, make sure you check the link in the description. I appreciate you. Let me know what you think about this thing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.